Alright, so we're going to go through and work on a typical wall section for the restaurant design project. And whenever I look over the plan, we're going to choose this wall section right here, which is already populated on a sheet 2A104. So this is kind of already in the middle. Whenever I click on this, there's quite a bit of stuff already in here. We've already gone over how to add sweeps to the wall, sweeps and reveals. We've talked about the wall structure, we've talked about the roof structure. We've already gone in, and if we look at this, we've already gone in and separated the two different parts of the wall. So this is actually the structure of the wall, which is CMUs, and this is the 2x6 framing wall, basically to support the drywall. So whenever we separate that, let me just show you real quickly how we do that. I can click on this, edit type. I can go into the edit. You can see this is basically a Dryvit wall system that we imported directly from Dryvit. It's manufacturer. The only thing is the maple wall would be more like a stud layer. So if I go to preview, now I can look at this. It defaults to the plan view, so I'm going to change it to section view. And what we did in here is we modify and then clicked on the different parts of this, and whenever you click on these parts, you can see these ones are unlocked. So whenever they're unlocked, that means that they will move separately from the other parts of the wall. Locked, unlocked. So whenever I say OK, I come back out here, that allows me to take this wall down to this point. Just as long as it's above the ceiling level, I should be fine. Alright, so the next thing is we decided to use 6 inches of isocyanurate rigid insulation for the roof. So whenever I look at the actual structure, what makes up this roof, I have an EPDM roof, 6 inches of rigid insulation, metal decking. This metal decking would actually be about 2 1/4 inches thick, depending on the decking, at least 2 1/4. And the structural steel bar joist is 18 inches. I say OK. And whenever I come out to the wall section, it's basically showing me this as my roof. The part that's missing from that, and I'm actually going to have to offset this down a little bit more. I'm just going to use my line tool so that the roof is equal with the roof layer, and that comes in as an offset. So the base offset from level. But I can use the align tool to do that. So now to actually start putting some detail into this. First of all, I want to be at a scale at least 3/4 of an inch, maybe an inch. Probably 3/4 of an inch equals a foot. And I'm probably going to go ahead and do hidden line or wireframe with fine detail. So I can go to the annotate tab. And I've already gone through and selected my joist type, so I know exactly which joist I'm going to use. And under my annotate tab, I'm going to click on this detail component. I'm going to load the family. It's going to default me to this U.S. Imperial Library. I'm going to go to detail items, and I'm going to look for metals, steel joist framing. And we were using the LH series bar joist, and I have 3 different types here. The one is in section, the one is inside, and the one is in top view. I'm going to choose the one in side view in this instance. Actually, for this instance, we are cutting through the long direction, so I would be using that one. And the one that I actually selected was this 18 LHO2. I say OK, and that needs to be located right there. The next one is going to be 4 feet away from that, so I like to show at least 2 in the wall section. So I'm going to use my annotate aligned from the center to the center, drop it, and I'm going to select the joist I want to move, click on the dimension, and put in 4 for 4 feet, and I'm going to have to stretch my window out to be able to show that. So if I would have been cutting the section at a different direction, then I would have gone into the component and under detail items, metals, I would have chosen the one from the side. Let's see if it loaded it. And this is what it would have looked like if I would have did it from the side. So I could have dropped that in place. So it just depends on which way you're cutting the section, which one you're going to show. So right here, this layer right here is actually roof deck. I could go in there and try to find something for it also. Detail items, metals, steel decking, and roof decking. We're going to choose this one. And this one's only 1.5 inches. I'll drop that, and I'm going to go back and I'm going to change my roof type for 1.5 inches thick metal deck. I say OK, and I'm going to have to fix this. I can do that very quickly by using my align tool. I align the roof with the roof level, lock it. I got that error because it was locked, and then I told it to remove the constraints. So this right here, I can snap that in place, and then I can just basically copy this from one end to the next. Make sure I have multiple. I can constrain it. And I would just do that the whole way across until I had something that filled that entire space. So that's going to show roof decking. Alright, so the next thing down, my floor level right here, I have no floor that's coming in right now. So to actually get the floor to go in, I'm going to have to go to my floor level, and I'm just going to do a concrete slab. So I'm actually going to put a wood floor in too, just so we can show what it would look like. I'm going to go to my architecture tab, and I'm going to go to floor, and I'm going to choose something that's similar. Let's see. We'll start out with wood joist 10-inch. I'm going to edit the type. I'm going to duplicate it so that so I don't overwrite the existing one. Concrete floor with wood finish. I'm going to edit this. For my structure, I'm going to change the wood joist layer to concrete. See if I can find a concrete. cast in place gray. I'm going to make the thickness 4 inches. I'm going to delete this one, and I'm going to leave this oak flooring finished 3/4 of an inch. And I'm going to say okay. Okay, and now it's time to pick walls. And I'm going to come in and choose modify to select that one. Click this little arrow so that it's on the inside of the wall instead of the outside of the wall. And it's automatically defaulting to that part of the wall. I'm just going to show you what that does. I'm going to say okay. Floor roof overlaps the highlighted walls. Would you like to join geometry? No. So whenever I click on this, my floor is basically going right up to that point. And the reality is I want it to come out to here. I want this wooden wall. This wall is not holding anything up. It's not holding the joists up. So I want this to go underneath this wall. And I'm going to get rid of that for the moment. So I'm going to click on that. I'm going to edit the boundary. I'm going to go back to my floor plan view to do that. And I'm going to just bump up the scale so you can see this a little bit better. And I'm going to bring that, drag it right there to the foundation wall. I'll do that in all 4 sides. And I'll say okay. No. I'll go back in, change my scale back to 1/4 inch equals a foot. Go back into my wall section. And now it comes all the way out to there. It looks like I could actually increase that a little bit as well. And that's going to be my concrete floor. And in reality, what I would prefer to do with that is I would have the concrete line up with floor level, and then the finished floor would actually come up above this level. And then I would need to adjust that. Real quick, I can do this the same way I did the top. Just edit it. I go in, modify the section. And I lost it. Click on that, click on this, unlock. Unlock that. Say okay, okay, and I'll just bump that up to there. All right, the next one, the foundation. So the first thing is, whenever I look at this foundation, I come over here to its properties, it's going to tell me that my bottom constraint, my base constraint, is top of footing. So whenever I look at this, I notice that my section, or the foundation itself, the base constraint is T footing. But I don't have a T footing in this view. So if I go to the east view, the elevation, I see that I have a T footing. So I'm going to try something, see if that works. I'm going to click on this. I'm going to right click, and I'm going to say maximize 3D extents. And then I'm going to go back over to my section view, and you can see that it shows up. So that's the way that sometimes you don't have the level symbols showing up in some views. You can get them to show up in the views that you need them to show up in. Alright, so top of footing, that's not really the The top of the footing would be fine there, but we're going to change this height. There's absolutely no reason to have something almost 10 feet deep for a footing. What I also want to do is I'm going to change the top of the foundation. I'm actually going to get rid of the top of the foundation altogether. The top of the foundation can be the same as the floor level 0 because it's going to go right up to that point. So if I delete that, now if I click on the foundation, my top constraint, instead of being unconnected, it's going to be floor level with no offset. Basically, the foundation has to go 4 feet below the ground, or actually 3'4" in our area. So I'm going to go ahead and make this minus 3 feet 4 inches, and that's going to assure the bottom of the footing will be below frost level. So whenever we do that, now our foundation is only 3'4". The next thing is to look at this actual foundation wall. So if I edit the type, I'm going to look at this, and the first thing is there is no wood in here. There's no gypsum wallboard. I'm going to delete this, and I'm going to delete the wood structure from it. I'm going to leave the concrete masonry units in there. And the next thing is we're going to add insulation. So the next thing we're going to add in is insulation. So I'm going to go through and I'm going to find rigid insulation. I click that, I'll say OK, and I'm going to put 2 inches of rigid insulation in there, which would give me an R value of R10, which is what I'm going to be required. And right now it's on the exterior side. I'm going to go ahead and move that to the interior side by bumping it down. And by putting it on the interior side, I'm going to do it actually inside the core or outside the core boundary. By putting it on the inside, I have a lot less chance of termite infestation and or damage from the weather or backfilling. So I'm going to say OK. OK again. And I notice now that my foundation wall is inside out because what I put on the inside is on the outside. I'm just going to right click on that, change walls orientation, and that will flip it to the inside. And now I'll have to go back in and edit this, clean this up a little bit as well, so it doesn't go past this point. I think the foundation wall before had 10-inch block, and it had 8-inch block, and it's calling out for 10-inch. So if I go back in here and I change this to 8-inch, that'll probably clean up our problem. Say OK, and it's close enough for now. Okay, so the next thing, now we have a floor, we have our wall, we have our roof in here. The next thing would be to start getting all the details laid out. And that's what we'll work on next time in part 2.